Hello to all our followers and welcome to this new episode of 5 Minutes. Today we talk about does school debating protect from disinformation with our guest Dr. Krzysztof Krakowski, Assistant Professor of Political Science at the Collegio Carlo Alberto of Turin. Krzysztof, very welcome to 5 Minutes. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Krzysztof, you and your co-authors have recently conducted a study looking at how school debating makes people more aware of disinformation, particularly from social media. So, my first question is, what do we mean by school debating?
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. Really pleased to be here. So answering your question, by school debating, we mean an exchange of conflicting ideas in an organized way. So specifically, we would provide a motion or a debating topic to our students. This could be, for instance, we should impose no limits on refugees coming to Poland. And we divide them into groups and ask them to either defend this proposition or try to challenge it in an organized way in which everybody has the right amount, have to follow some rules of debating, and they are overseen by adjudicator who then decides who won the debate.
Thank you. So, how does school debating affect students' thinking with regard to news from social media, particularly potential fake news?
Well, that's a great question. So we believe that there are some elements in our training which could make students better in this regard. So first thing is that we help them to uncover underlying assumptions of various arguments. We train them how to distinguish facts from some biases or expressions of certain ideologies and values. So once they have these skills, it makes them more likely to detect potential biases in the news. For instance, this could be ideological bias or uh, um, some sort of party bias that they would be able to detect thanks to having these skills. So we thought by offering the skills, we would make them more likely to distinguish what is neutral and factual reporting from politically spinned kind of information.
Thank you. So, what are the outcomes then of your field experiments?
Well, so we looked at two types of vulnerability to misinformation. One is belief in conspiracy thinking, like for instance, 5G antennas are surveillance techniques um, to control citizens. And then we looked at the assessment of how factual or credible certain news headlines are. So we found very strong effects in terms of conspiracy thinking, showing that people trained in debating or adolescents trained in debating, they are less likely to endorse and believe in these conspiracy theories that we focus on. And on the other hand, we also find them better at distinguish true from false news statements. This is more complicated task because some of this, sometimes it's not, having this critical thinking skills is not enough to be able to see biases. They can be well hidden, but even there we see discrepancy in among greater discrepancy among debaters versus non-debaters, which is encouraging.
That's very interesting. And the last question, what else have you studied in the context of school debating?
I mean, perhaps the most obvious thing we were interested in to begin with was to see whether debating brings people together. So on top of the effects on misinformation, we wanted to simply see whether debaters are more willing to reach some sort of consensus in the domains that polarize people in Poland, which is where we did our experiment. So And what we find is that in terms of the technical disagreements, such as migration laws, debating helps to bring adolescents closer together, those with conflicting views on the topic. However, we have not found evidence that debating helps in strongly value-oriented debates, such as abortion. There, to the contrary, we find that debaters become even more entrenched in their positions because they are more capable of defending their values, and there is not much technical elements that would allow them to come closer together, at least in these debates. So the next step would be to see how we can turn this policy, the value-oriented debates into more technical debates, in which case potentially there is a room for consensus.
Thank you so much, Krzysztof, for this inspiring discussion. We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you here again at 5 Minutes.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.